I'm having mega issues with my intro music. So I gotta get that fixed. But we're back. We're back. It's the Brazil Expat Journal. I'm cutting that music short. I don't know what's going on because it does that lag. It didn't used to. So I gotta figure out what's going on. Hello, everybody. What's up, Peter? Mr. Baird?
Not much. I'm good. I'm
How are
good.
you doing?
Yep.
Well, me too. I'm excited about today's episode because it's going to be an information dump episode. And I've already gotten people that have given me their recommendations from different cities. Jordan, which we all know, and this other guy, Justin from Canada, that's been on the show. He was talking a little bit about it. So, guys, the topic tonight is cities near São Paulo City worth either visiting or living in. Okay. And trust me, some of them are definitely visit cities. I don't know if I'd live in a few of these. And why am I bringing this topic up? One, because, it's the Brazil expat journey. You got to know a little bit more about Brazil, not just the big cities, Sao Paulo, Rio, Salvador. Uh, Brazil's huge, and there's a lot of terrain to cover. And I hope to expand this into other areas in other maybe curious cities. We should do an episode, Peter, on curious cities around Brazil. There's some weird cities in this country. So it's a huge country, huge city. São Paulo state. You could fit some European countries inside of it, right, Pete?
Yeah, it's like 90
How big?
million people.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in terms of terrain.
Yeah, it's
Look
true.
at this. Size of São Paulo city compare or São Paulo state compared to other countries. Actually, if you look at this, I like these maps here. It's as big as France. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
well,
how
the
big is
entire
Brazil.
world's
Or not France, that's
population.
Spain. Sorry, that's a Spanish flag there. Sorry. There you go. Look at that. Oh, is that the Spanish flag? Are you good at that? That's Spanish, right?
I don't see a flag.
Oh, sorry. Now you'll see a flag. Is it?
Yeah, that's Italy at the top there, actually.
No, is it? No, yeah, I'm
And
looking at São Paulo
France at
down
the
here. Oh no,
bottom.
no, actually, that's not São Paulo. That's Minas Gerais. Oh man, there's the host of the show getting his Brazilian geography wrong. Yeah, that's Minas Gerais, and São Paulo is right here, guys. So you could fit like all of England in there. So it's pretty big there. And then down here you got Rio, and moving up to the north. So it's a big country with a lot of terrain, and the city is huge. And people kind of sometimes can get stuck in this thing of just staying in Sao Paulo or staying in Rio. And it's understandable because that's where, you get the better infrastructure. If you don't speak a lot of Portuguese, you're going to be able to get around a little bit better. It's less scary venturing out into these other little cities, but you can find a lot of goodies in there. So we'll be talking about that. But before we get into it, let me just tell you this news here in Sao Paulo. Let's see if this comes to anything. So I was listening to the news in the morning, and they're talking about this auction on Faria Lima where they're selling these titles. They're called these CPAC titles, okay, for the Faria Lima urban operation. And basically, at the when I was listening to it on the news, they were saying how they were going to raise they're trying to raise 3 billion reais. And what it is when you buy this title, it gives a lot of these construction companies ways to get around some building laws, which that part I wasn't really sure how that worked. But apparently, once you have this title, you don't have to follow city regulations. Like if you can build 60-floor skyscrapers, you can have these buildings that take up 2 city blocks instead of just one. I don't know. It's like a legal way to get around building regulations. And at this event, which the mayor and the governor went to, they were just bidding for these titles. Unfortunately, they were only able to sell about 1 billion of them compared to the 3 billion. I say this why? Because part of this money was going to be used to revitalize the Faria Lima area. Faria Lima is one of the main streets in São Paulo,
Mhm.
city proper. Now we're not talking about the state. There's a picture picture of Faria Lima right there. I love this fish that they got there. It's a really special street for me, Pete, because when I very, 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 very first got to Brazil, it was the first avenue that I went down. So I have a lot of
Hmm.
good memories of going down Faria Lima for the first time. Um, and it was the original commercial center of São Paulo. Now the commercial centers have moved to either Paulista, of course, or this other street that they have here called Behiri. So all you guys that come down here to teach English, well, maybe nowadays it's all online, but back in the day, a lot of us were walking around this Behini area, which is by the river, the very dirty river. It looks pretty nice in the picture, but trust me, it don't look
It's
like that
cleaned up
in
a
real
lot.
life. And yeah, nothing, not even close. That looks like the version from that movie we watched, Pete. Good Deeds. Remember about the werewolf
Yeah,
boy?
yeah. But
And
it is a lot
they
cleaner now. It
shot.
doesn't. It doesn't smell anymore. It used to stink.
Well, it stinks less. Let's put it that way. Because I was just by there, what, last weekend or a weekend before, because I had to go to Santa Maru, and that was pretty nasty, the smell. And
Hmm.
it wasn't in, usually Villa Olympia area is the area that stunk, but it was stinking up closer to Pinheiros. I don't know, guys. The Maybe I'll do a BJ one day, tell you the story of this damn river and they plans for it, these endless plans for it. They used to swim in this river, like in the beginning of the last century up to like the 1920s and 30s. But basically, it was a rerouting process, because it used to be a windy river, like rivers usually do in nature. They wind and then they straightened it. A lot of the river ended up. I ended up talking about it now. We're talking about São Paulo, so there you go. A little bit of São Paulo history. São Paulo is built on top of rivers. A lot of rivers. The biggest one is the Marginal Tietê, but there's a bunch of rivers. The Tamuandatei River. I think the Ipiranga rivers. Let me see here. Rivers under São Paulo City. Well, this is kind of a map that you can kind of make sense of it. But if you're traveling around the city, you see that there's a lot of these little reservoirs because it's where they let the water escape. So what happens? Look, here you go. Aqui tem rio. So under this avenue here, I think this is 9 de Julho, there's a whole river under there. And what does this do to the city? Flooding. Okay, agua no subsolo. Look, water in the basement. So this avenue here is built on top of a really like a flowy river. So that causes a whole lot of flooding in the city, and Pete and I, who have lived here for a while, we've suffered with this. Just a little bit of rain, and then it's like, bam, end of the world. The water's
Mhm.
raised. Where are you, Pete? There you are. Uh, the waters raise up, and it's really crazy with all this water stuff. Um, so this Faria Lima, though, but getting back to this Faria Lima thing, what was supposed to happen is that part of this money was to revitalize this area, Faria Lima, uh, uh, and also 1 billion. That was the original plan of the 3 billion that they were estimating was going to go to revitalize Paraisópolis. Now, Paraisópolis is one of the biggest favelas in Brazil, but definitely in São Paulo. Okay, there it is, Paraisópolis. It's near a neighborhood called Morumbi. Okay, well, that's the picture we used in the last BJ. That's a famous picture of like Morumbi is this very rich neighborhood, which is neighboring Paraisópolis. Look at that. That's a great picture. That shows you the immensity of Paraisópolis, man. Look at that. It just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And there's the city there. I used to go there a lot before. Oh, I'm not sharing. Pete, you got to be my eyes here, man, because I can't always see if I'm sharing or not. I wasn't sharing at all. Um, where are those pictures? Let me see. Now you can see it. Okay. So, yeah, so that's Paraisópolis right there, all that favela, and there's Morumbi. And before that, I was just saying, we used this picture here in our last BJ, famous picture. And basically, you have this favela that neighbors one of the richest neighborhoods in Sao Paulo, which is a place called Morumbi. Okay. So yeah, 1 billion was supposed to go there. They were gonna build like this big road through the favela. They were gonna like put some more. Here they call it coabis, which are habitational units, kind of like the projects. You know, if you're thinking in U.S. terms. What's up? Life is good to have you with us. We're just getting warmed up, guys. Just giving some news updates. What's going on here in São Paulo? Um, but let's see what they do with this investment. Let's see how corrupt or not corrupt the city government is. How much of that 1 billion is actually going to go
Yeah.
towards these projects, and how long it's going to take for these projects to happen. Anyway, that's the news. Okay. Other than my electricity, I was without power on Monday. Sorry, guys, but I'm here now, drinking my wine, enjoying myself. So let's take a tour through Sao Paulo. First off, Pete, how
Yes.
many people do you think live in Sao Paulo, like Greater Sao Paulo, not just the metropolitan area, but Greater Sao Paulo, including the cities surrounding it?
You mean like the city and the suburbs?
Yeah. Well, not the surrounding cities around it.
Oh
Cochia,
gosh.
Taboão.
Uh, I would say rough guess 23 million.
That's a pretty good rough guess, man. It's about 20 million people. Okay.
Mhm.
So Sao Paulo proper is going to be about 10 or 11 million. But here's Sao Paulo. If you well, be my eyes, see, I'm not showing that. You got to help me out here because I always forget. There you go. You see here in the middle, that's Sao Paulo, this little blob thing here. And all these cities are kind of like the surrounding areas. Okay. It looks like somebody's brain on drugs.
Yeah.
This picture. Well, it's kind of blurry, but so we're gonna be talking about some of these cities around here. You can kind of see one here's Embu, Mogi das Cruzes, Cochia. We're gonna see, is it worth visiting or living in some of these places around here? Most people do though, because it's a lot of people living in this place. Okay. And we're going to go by region and talk a little bit about these different places. So, south side of Sao Paulo, guys, you're going towards the beach. And Pete, have you ever been to any of these cities that here they call ABC, ABCD, in fact?
No, no. I know some people who live there. The A is Atabaya, right? And
No, no, no,
C,
no. Then you're going too far. Then you're going too far.
no.
Yeah. So, A is for Santo André. Santo André.
Okay, right,
Okay. And, and then after Santo André, the B is for São Bernardo. Okay.
right. Yeah,
And then after that is the C, which is for São Caetano. And then some people have been adding the D for Diadema, which is another city that's in this region here. And you can
right.
see
These areas were like really
the region
primarily,
right here.
yeah. Well, you have to share your screen again. But yeah, these areas
Oh, am I
were,
sharing this
uh,
picture?
no, you're not. They were primarily known
Now I am.
for
Can you
home
see?
manufacturing back in the day. It's black.
Yes.
So yeah, this was the
Where's my
center
screen? Why is it all black?
of Brazil's auto
There it is.
manufacturing industry. And then all the auto
Yeah.
manufacturers, Ford pulled out, and they kind of fell into a huge economic depression because auto
Mhm.
manufacturing accounted for like most of the jobs there.
I feel you. Actually, I had two friends who used to live in Brazil when they went back to the States because of that. They both worked at Ford. Deixa você tá
Yeah,
bem no vídeo, ok? Só sua cabecinha. Yeah. We had a little visitor in the back there. Yeah. a friend, I had two friends that left because they both worked at Ford. So yeah, in São Bernardo, they had the Ford company, but also I think Volkswagen was down there in São
Hmm.
Bernardo. Santo André is like a mini São Paulo. It's a really cute city. If anybody ever goes there, and you can see here the pictures. Okay, um, Santo André says here it's got about 700,000 people. It's only 22 kilometers from the capital. You can get there by train in like 30 minutes from Paulista, so it's very easy access. In fact, let's go. CPTM, train, São Paulo. Today we got to sell São Paulo. Look at that. CPTM, guys, is the metro lines. There, you can see it on the screen.
Well, it's light rail,
Exactly.
but not to be confused with the
Yeah.
metro, because the metro is the subway.
Yes. Well, but it's all the same. It's the CPTM.
It's
It
the
takes
same
everything.
company except
Yeah.
for the line 4. The line 4 is a
Yeah, the
private.
yellow line. Yeah, that's a different line. I think that's Via Quattro. It's
Yeah.
it's a public-private or thing going on there.
Mhm.
But just so you see, well, let me see if I can make that a little bigger. São Bernardo, guys, if you're on Paulista, this green line here is the one that runs down one of the main strips of São Paulo, which is Paulista. So if you just take it down here and all the way down and all the way down, you get to this train. And when you get to this train over here, what happens? Then you get all those cities. São Caetano, you get Santo André. Mauá is all part of this region. That's a bit further down. I've been there a couple times. Really far. For me, this is too far living here. Santo André, I think that's totally doable. It's a really nice city. São Caetano, guys, a lot of times it's ranked as one of the top cities, not just in São Paulo, but in Brazil. It's like one of
Mhm.
the top cities to live in, which is weird. I have never stepped foot in São Caetano, but people that live there, they're like, it's super safe. Uh, it's a bit more expensive, but like clean. People, a lot of jobs. So people tend to really love São Caetano do Sul. And let's see, other cities in that region include, you got Rio Grande da Serra, but I think that's way too far down. But if you see at the end of this train line here, you got a place called Paranapiacaba. Okay? In Paranapiacaba, just to finish here with these guys. So you got São Bernardo, it's got about 850,000 people, right? A lot of good quality of life, good cost benefit. You can find a lot of information on that here. If you need to ask more stuff, just put it in the comments, see if we can help you. But around that area, Pete, there's a city called Paranapiacaba, which a lot of people like taking day trips to. And it's a little village town, So this is one of those worth visiting, but I don't know if I'd live there. And it's got a really crazy history because this is back when the English were investing a little bit more in Brazil. Speaking of rail, this is like actual railroad stuff, and they were actually building a railroad. And this little tower here is called Little Big Ben because
Yeah.
that was actually put up for them. And you can see here the trains, okay, the little choo-choo trains. And the idea was to actually start a railway in Brazil that goes from this area all the way down to Santos, which is the next place we're going to hit if we're going south. And we still have a few of these railways that work for cargo. Unfortunately, not for passengers, which kind of sucks. I wish that they would have a passenger railway that would take you down there. But a lot of people really swear by this place, Paranapiacaba. And they say it's even foggy in the morning, when you get there. So it's kind of like has an English feel to it. Have you ever been there, Pete? Paranapiacaba?
No, no.
They got a lot of festivals there, like festivals and this festivals and everything. Let me see here. Somebody made a little video. De Paraná se acaba. Look at that. Okay, so again, it's about how far it is from São Paulo. But is this lady just gonna talk? No. But you see, just a cute little town. A lot of the cities in the interior are like that, surrounded by forest, foggy. It's going towards the south, so it's going to be going down the mountains. There's these mountains. São Paulo is up on a plateau, so everything kind of goes down. And as you go down, it's like the Smoky Mountains going down. It's real nice if you ever drive down to the beach. So this woman is just going to talk for a while. And eventually, when you drive down far enough, you're going to get to Santos. Okay?
Mhm.
So, someone is asking, are these areas comparable to the boroughs in New York City? No, these are actually cities outside of São Paulo. Trying to keep it like, I'm not very good at kilometers, but let's say like an hour drive max. Okay, that would be more like, yes, more like upstate New York. That would be like people that live in like North Jersey and drive into New York for work, like me, for a long time. I used to live in South Jersey. I take the 40-minute drive to Philly, work, go to school, come back. It's an option, You still got that safety net, which is the big city with all the hospitals and if you need to do your bureaucratic stuff, but you can still live out in the burbs and it's a different lifestyle because São Paulo City also has suburbs, but the suburbs of São Paulo City, Pete knows it takes a little while to get adjusted to. Things sometimes close early. You don't always have public transportation. It can be a little bit more crime. It's like being in the inner city if you're comparing it to to America. Whereas we're actually talking about leaving São Paulo. But as you can see, some of these cities you have access to through trains, through the metro
Yeah.
system. So we're not telling you cities that are too far away, like you're actually just living in a different region. These are places that reasonably you can live there and still have access to the city in an hour max, 30 minutes to an hour. I think I got one or two cities here that are a little bit more than an hour, but they're more on my places you should try to live in. So I hope that answers your question. And thank you. Who is Life Is? If you got a name, let me know. Sometimes it's people that I know that are on here. They just got some other name. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. Anyway, let's go back here, guys. I'll try to stay away from mapping too much, but it's kind of good to see a map just to get a little bit of an idea of where everything is in the city. It's not because the city is built kind of like a blob. So, yeah, so down here we're going south. And the further south you go, because this is south too, if you go to Jabaquara. And if you go down here, in fact, there's Diadema, that other city people talked about a lot. There's São Bernardo right there. There's no metro there. So you got to go to Jabaquara and it takes a little trolley bus. Real fun. I've taken it a few times. In about half an hour, you're in São Bernardo. Diadema is like it's almost like the next neighborhood over. Used to be a pretty bad town. People used to talk a lot of shit about Diadema. It's a young city, about like 50 or 60 years old, very, very crime ridden. But in the last 10, maybe 15 years, it's gotten to become a better place to live. So this whole region there, A, B, C, D, worth checking out if you're kind of sick of living in the city. And now if you want to get a little bit further away, if you're like, you know what, I want to have my house, and then just come to São Paulo to party or something, then you might want to consider going to like a place like Santos, guys. In Santos is about an hour and a half, 2 hours from São Paulo. Here's some drone footage of Santos, beautiful place right there. And considered one of the top cities to live in Brazil, another one that's usually ranks pretty high. Although sometimes people complain about the crime there, so I don't know. I've heard both sides, but that's Santos.
Yeah, it's also the second busiest shipping port in South America. I know because I work with the
Yes,
port.
it's a very important shipping port.
I think it's in the top 40 shipping
It's a
container ports.
very Yeah, so if you're too close to the beach, man, you're gonna smell a lot of fish and a lot of like, you know. I've been to Santos before. I've never seen like this beautiful side of Santos, because usually when I go to Santos, it's to go to Guarujá, which is the next beach over. That's the touristy beach. So I've never seen this side of Santos. That looks really nice. But if I go to Guarujá, that's the one that's a little bit more famous. And again, a lot of people in São Paulo, they have like beach homes in Guarujá. Let me see. Guarujá, São Paulo drone footage. Let's take a look at that. There's a little bit of a drone flight through Guarujá. Commercial break. Got the Blue Man Group. Turn that off there. Yeah, so Guarujá, you can see a bit more green than Santos. Okay, so this is actually if you want the actual beach experience, you go to Guarujá. Okay, been there a few times. Beautiful place. It just gets busy, guys. If you go in there during the holidays, it's gonna pack. But that whole region is nice. There's Guarujá. Next to it, there's another city called Bertioga, which is a little bit cheaper. Let me look at that. Look, there's Bertioga right there. Actually, check this out. Look at that. That's kind of cool. Gives you the whole map there of the line of cities that make up that little southern region of São Paulo. Let's see if this is an interesting little clip here. Ever been to any of these beaches, Pete?
No, I was going to go to Santos once, but a trip didn't wind up happening.
I'm not much of a beach guy, but every once in a while I end up at a beach. And
Yeah, this is
actually, I'll give you
actually
guys a recommendation. It's called Praia do
Praia
Eden,
Grande
Eden
is
Beach. Write that
yeah.
down. Eden, just like, Eden, and just write Praia, Praia, Praia. Oh my God, so many advertisements here. I was just seeing lady. She talks. Say that again. Anyway, so guys, those are some options for you if you're thinking south. Of course, you can go further south, but if you go further south, then you're talking about actually just making a life outside of Sao Paulo. Santos for me is already a life outside of Sao Paulo, but it's worth it because you still have access to the city. And it's, if one day they finally build the metro, not the metro, the train that's supposed to connect Sao Paulo to Santos, man, I would live down there. Why not? You'd be up here in Sao Paulo in an hour. It takes an hour
Yeah.
to go to work here in Sao Paulo,
Yeah.
if you live on the east side and you have to
Yeah,
work on the
actually to
west
get to
side.
Santos,
Yeah, go ahead.
to get to Santos from where I live, it actually takes longer to get to the bus station than it does to get from the bus station to Santos.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's so true. It's so true. Anyway, so moving on. We're gonna move east, guys. The big east. Okay, here they call it Zona Lost. Okay, the
Mm.
Zona Leste. So the east side of São Paulo, we're talking about the city proper. It's the biggest area of São Paulo, like the biggest zone. São Paulo is split into four zones. North, east, west, south side. And just like you saw in the picture there, it's kind of like a blob, Sao Paulo. And I think you notice at the top of it, it kind of looks like a xenomorph head. I've been getting into Alien Earth lately. So the xenomorph head part of Sao Paulo, that's the big part. That's the east. Even though it's kind of up, but it's going east, it's bizarre. I don't get it. Anyway, a lot of cities going that way. Okay, and it's going towards the beach too. Okay, and in fact, you can get to some of those beaches, Bertioga, going through the east because Santos kind of starts down here and it goes like up Grajaú, not Grajaú, Guarujá, Bertioga. It goes up the coast. So if you go south, you're gonna hit Guarujá. If you go east, and kind of loop down a little bit, you're gonna get to Bertioga. Brazilian geography is all over the place. Anyway, one of the cities that I have been to a few times, and it's really cute, that's out there. Now, again, this is a city that if you live there, I would consider living there. But if you live there, it's like you live there. Is it easy to get to São Paulo? Yeah, it's going to take about an hour and a half. This is like the limit. Like I told you, that's few of these cities are going to be kind of at the limit. This one is going to be more at the limit. Mogi das Cruzes. Let me see if they have any drone footage of Mogi das Cruzes. Oh, there you go. Mogi das Cruzes by drone. And it is the last stop on the red line. But like when you get with the red line, you get to the end of the metro, there's Mogi. Beautiful place. Worth visiting. Good restaurants. A lot of places like this to like go camping, just chill out. There's a train station. So you can get to São Paulo from this city, guys, by just taking a train, like literally R$ 5. Like you're just going to pay $5 and you're going to get all the way from here to São Paulo. Like I said, in about an hour and some change, There's also a bus that goes direct. There's the train right there that takes you down. The bus is, last time I took it, it was about 20 some reais, but it is a little bit more comfortable. So if you're down for comfort, I got some lakes. Inexpensive city, definitely, guys, worth checking out if you're thinking of like different places to live. I don't know. I had a friend that lived there, so I visited him. I don't know, if it's got that many attractions to be like, ooh, let's take a day trip to Mogi das Cruzes. But it's not a bad place to go, if you just happen to be there. And you can see it's right at the end of the line. And this is the train. You're going to take that train down here to Guaianazes. From Guaianazes, you can shift to another train, which, it's an express. Like, you're already in São Paulo. When you get to Guaianazes, you're already in São Paulo. And then you're there at the Corinthians Stadium. And then it's just like, you're home pretty much. So I know a lot of people that live over there, Pete, that live there and work in São Paulo, and they don't mind it. They're like, you know what? I get peace of mind, so it's not a bad deal. So that is some of the East. Any of these cities out here that that you've been to, Pete?
No.
Yes. Oh, I've been to Aracare. I think I've been there. It's this little, well, Arujá, something like that. There's a little country town over here that I spent a weekend at, which is really nice. So there's a lot of this whole area here that I'm kind of circling with the mouse is a lot of green area. There's not a lot to do here. Like all these neighborhoods here of São Paulo, they're all kind of ghetto. I would not choose to live there. But once you get past them and you start to get to Suzano, you start to get to Poá, it becomes just like these kind of laid back cities. They got fishing holes. They got, little mom and pop restaurants all over the place. Things shut down around 9, 10 o'clock. And that's the type of life you're living out there. Okay, that's when you want to just chill out. Another city, okay, we're just moving right along, that I think is worth checking out if you are, thinking of visiting or going outside of São Paulo. Okay, these would be kind of in the north side. By the way, there's Guarulhos, guys. I don't know that much about Guarulhos. Sorry, I almost skipped Guarulhos. Other than at the airports there, my friend Beverly lived there for a while. She loved it. I've never been to say good or bad. It's got history. I know, one of the great Brazilian bands came from there, Mamonas Assassinas. So it's a rock and roll city for sure. A little hardcore, but I don't know that much more about it. Moving north, okay. Speaking of places that I don't know as much about, uh, well, it's not that I don't know that much about it. It's that there aren't that many options if you go north. As far as cities close to São Paulo. So all of these cities, this is right from ChatGPT here, that I'm going to mention. A few of them I've been to, and they're mostly going to be. Let me try to make that. How do I close this right there? There you go. That's better. Most of these cities here are going to be at least an hour outside the city, or an hour and a half. Some of them you can get to by public transport, but most not. First on the list, there's Campinas. Guys, Campinas for me is tied with São Paulo. Like I could move to some Campinas tomorrow and I'd be fine. For me, Campinas, you're gonna get everything that you get in São Paulo, except that it's like a manageable version. It's like an actual regular city, like we're used to, like 4 million people, 5 million people. It's just a nice regular city. Been there a bunch of times. I do a lot of work in Campinas. Sometimes I do voiceover work. So I go there. Yeah, let me show you a little bit of Campinas. And it's a really gorgeous city, guys. And I think the part that I appreciate the most about it is that since it's more going towards the interior, it's cleaner. Like, so you get big city feel, like you can see right here, but with a lot of clean air. Okay, a lot of clean air. The people are very polite. But look at the size of this city. It looks like São Paulo, right? You're actually not seeing it. There you go. I mean, if I showed you this and told you where is this, you'd say, oh, it's São Paulo. No, it's Campinas. Campinas is a vibrant city. It's got one of my favorite restaurants in the world. I'm going to say it, the world, guys, because I have traveled to Campinas just to have a sandwich at this place twice. It's a place called Giovanetti's. Delicious. And you're near a lot of other little cities like Vinhedo, which is famous for wine. Valinhos, which is a neighboring city. It's like just a quiet suburb. Again, if you want to visit São Paulo, it's a trip. It's like an hour and a half. There's a bus that goes direct. I usually take BlaBlaCar, and I get to São Paulo in like 45 minutes. Those BlaBla people, like they just steamroll down the avenue. So it's not that far from São Paulo city. And I love this park. I've been there a bunch of times. Man, I'm like drooling here over Campinas. I really love this city. There's the big old bar, the ship here, Pete. It's a full replica, or it might be the actual thing of like one of those caravel ships, that the Portuguese used to use.
Mm-hmm.
It's this thing right here. Yeah, so it's like a full size model of this ship on this lake. It's kind of cool, Now I know you lived in Jundiaí, because as we move back towards São Paulo, because if you go by this map here, guys, this is the São Paulo transit map. This is the north side. So you see here, there's a city that Pete's going to talk a little bit about because he's actually lived there, called Jundiaí. All these places that I'm talking about, Campinas, would be if you just kept going for another half an hour, 40 minutes. Then you're going to start getting Campinas. You're going to get Valinhos, Vinhedo. All this region here is very rich. A lot of money there, so you can make money. There's opportunities for work. But the train stops here. So to get into São Paulo, you'd either need a car or take a bus. Tell us a little bit about Jundiaí, Pete, because I know you spent some time in Jundiaí.
Yeah, it's where I lived when I first moved to Brazil. I had a job lined up there already because I didn't want to be one of those people who comes here and the first thing you got to do is find a job. and it's close to Sao Paulo. Not much there, but it is kind of one of those cities where a lot of the population choose to live there for the higher quality of life and work in Sao Paulo. They make the commute. It's up in the mountains, so everywhere you go, you're either going up or down the hill. Got a
That's
population of about 300,000 people, I think. So not really that big.
yeah, it's not a huge city.
No, but it's part of sort of a mini metropolitan area because it's like one stop from Varzea Paulista and also one stop from Campo Limpo Paulista, which are both like smaller towns on the line 7. So yeah, it's really easy to work and have a life there and
Mhm.
spend your weekends in Sao Paulo, which is pretty much what I did. Because you work during the week. It's like you were describing other cities, how everything kind of shuts down around 10 or 11 during the week. The weekends are okay. They have some clubs, but the clubs are pretty lame. But they do have a semi decent live music scene. There's at least 3 bars that have regular live music shows with original bands, and you can sometimes go into Campo Limpo and Varzea Paulista and see a show. But if you want to go into Sao Paulo, it's really easy. There's where I live, they actually had a Cometa garage that was like 3 blocks from my house. You could go there and you could get a coach directly to Barafunda if you didn't mind taking like
Mhm.
90 minutes and having a slightly less comfortable ride. Of course, you can use the line 7. That takes about 90 minutes. And what I would do is I would just go into Sao Paulo and have dinner, catch a show, maybe see some sights. Shows in Sao Paulo finish pretty late. So by the time the show's out and you get back, it's time to go back. The public transportation's running. So I mean, shit, I've had nights getting back to Butantá from other neighborhoods in Sao Paulo that took longer than it took for me to get back from a show in Sao Paulo to Jundiaí. So, yeah, it's not really that
Mhm.
inconvenient. In terms of the nightlife is not the 24/7 nightlife of Sao Paulo. Even on the weekends, like places close there around 2, 3 at the latest on Fridays and Saturdays. But they have a lot of good things going on Sunday, and they have a really cool annual festival called the Great Festival. It's like a big food and drink festival in their biggest park. I think the park is actually called Parque de Uva.
Mhm.
And yeah, they have a big festival there with wine, food, live music, lasts for like a whole week. And sometimes they do get some shows by some pretty major Brazilian rock bands. They don't have a lot of venues for it, so they usually play in nightclubs and things like that. But yeah, you can have a pretty decent life there. It's a little more expensive than Sao Paulo because it is basically for rich
Mhm.
people. It's considered one of the better cities for families as well. But yeah, a year was enough. I was like, why am I going into Sao Paulo every weekend? I should just live there. So yeah, that's it. That's what I
Just
do. There are jobs there
move
for
there.
yeah. There I worked
I
there at
feel
an English
yeah.
school
Pete
that had
said
been
about
established.
Jundiaí, by the way, is totally right, guys. Sometimes you gotta yeah, but no, what you said is important as far as guys look at the prices because I remember I used to think like this, Pete, that every place outside of São Paulo was cheaper than São Paulo, and not really. Especially like Campinas. Campinas used to be cheaper than São Paulo. I remember when I first got here, I was invited to go there because I was working with an NGO, and I fell in love. That's how I got to know Campinas because I was invited to whatever. Long story short, I was there and I was like, oh my god, this is like the coolest little city. It's like it reminded me of Philly, like small version, like how Philly feels like the little brother for NYC. It's a little cuter, and I just And I looked at the prices back in the day, and I was this close, Pete, to being like, you know what? Let me move out of São Paulo and just move to Campinas, man. Because I was living in Moema at the time, and we just had a little show about Moema. I wasn't enjoying it that much. I thought São Paulo I liked, but yeah, it took me a while to really fall in love with São Paulo. I think it took me about a year to really, or more than a year, maybe a year and a half to really start to fall in love with the city. Like I was having fun here, but I wasn't like, wow, like this is the best place ever. Um, in Campinas just hit me. Like as soon as I got there, just the vibe of the place because it's got that country vibe because you are close to the country, but it's still agitated. And it's a really gay city. That's another weird thing about it. I mean, it's not like you're walking on the street, you see a bunch of gays, but it just, there's been a few very famous gay folks that have come from there. So it's a joke about like, what do they put in the water in Campinas? Because, you know, there's a little bit of a gay vibe there. Um, but definitely worth visiting. Although plan well, don't do like I did with a friend of mine, and we kind of missed the bus back, and she had to sleep in a motel with me, and that didn't go over well. She got a little upset. Anyway, we got over it. We're still friends. So moving in that direction, guys, if we're going north, we're going to see another city that I love. Like, talk about places that I am in love with in São Paulo. State that I've been to a few times. I spent a week here, actually, once. It was work, but it wasn't at the same time. São José dos Campos. Another big city, so it feels like you're in Boston or London or whatever in terms of size, but not like monster like São Paulo. Okay, get to the drone footage. There it is. It's a little greener than Campinas, as you can see, but it's got nice clubs, great restaurants. It's going north, so towards the mountains. So it's got this very, very cool air, cool breeze. It's in this area called heading up towards this. This is like the worst drone video ever. I should have vetted these before. We have a better. Actually, check this out. I found this once here. I kind of like this. The guy did a good job. They made an institutional video in English about São José dos Campos. Oh, yeah, here we go. I'm not going to show the whole thing, but I like some of the stuff that they show in it. And São José dos Campos got a few companies. Johnson & Johnson is there. Mars is there. Embra. So you got a lot of options as far as things to do. So here the guy's just going to talk about, the quality of life there, all the factories, the jobs. Let me see if this is
Segurança.
It's not this one apparently. But yeah, they're talking about all the industries that they have. How far it is from São Paulo. You can see it's 90 kilometers from São Paulo. It's considered like this triangle, this Vale de Paraíba right here, this whole region. And it's really important because it's a route for a lot of transport. So it's not that far from Rio and not that far from Belo Horizonte, which is up near Minas. And guys, just good place, worth visiting, okay, which is Jundiaí. Ever been to Jundiaí?
We were not talking about Jundiaí.
Really nice. Finished. I mean, sorry, São José dos Campos.
Ever been there? No.
Yeah. It's a nice place, man. Actually, the same friend, this poor friend, she's a real friend, guys, because we're still together. We went to this place too, São José dos Campos together, and I fucked up the time too. Like we couldn't get back, and we ended up having to spend the night there. And this time she slept at a Burger King, And I partied. I went to a club. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to this club. I had a good time. Yeah, no details, but it was a good time. And then we all came back to São Paulo the next day. So again, these cities that I'm showing you now, going north, these are the live cities that okay, you're gonna be living there, but you're not gonna be that far away from Sao Paulo, so you don't have to be that scared in case of an emergency, in case you need to get to the consulate, blah blah blah. You're not that far. You'll survive. And the last one I want to show Pete before we move on to the west side, so we're not here all night, is E2. I can't not talk about E2. I love E2. Tiny city. Let's see if they have a drone. And it's famous for everything being big. Okay, that's what they said. The city where everything is big is E2. I2. And let's see if you can see some of this here. I love these drone footage videos. There you go. This is the historic center. There's the little church there. Oh, you can't see that, can you? One second, guys. At the stage. Oh, my internet is not helping out today, huh? At the stage. There we go. Yeah, so he's just going down the historical center. He's not a very good drone filmer. Yeah, forget that. That's not happening. Man, are you having trouble with your internet lately, Pete?
Well, my main connection is actually down.
Because
I'm
mine
using
is like next level.
Yeah, no, my main connection is dead. I've been on my landlady about it for weeks, and so I'm using the one from the bar downstairs, which is it's okay.
Yeah, what's annoying, and guys, this is just a third world problem. You're gonna have bad internet. No, it's funny. Sometimes you get Wi-Fi from places that work better than the stuff you're paying almost like $200 a month for.
Yeah.
That's the shit that pisses me off, And by the way, guys, so here's a pro tip. For a long time, and probably on this channel, I used to always talk about a company called Net, N-E-T. Like, man, Net is like the best internet. And they were. Like, if there was ever a problem, which was rare, they would fix it quickly. Like, I never had an issue with these guys. But then they got bought out by this other company called Claro. And Claro, even before then, for me was always like the fourth option because here we have four companies for telecom. We got Vivo, we got TIM, we got Oi, and we got Claro. For me, Claro was always like the last choice. TIM and Claro. A lot of people used Oi for a while, and a lot of people still use Vivo. Guys, get Vivo. It's a little bit more expensive, but your internet and stuff is not going to cut out. And that's actually going to be like my next move soon. I'm going to get rid of this Claro internet and get me some Vivo because, I got to use the internet to talk. But here we go to the show, and it's impossible. Look at this, though. I couldn't find a good drone video for E2. So what I got instead is my Facebook page because I went there a few times. So guys, if you want to follow me on Facebook, there I am. Feel right. My kind of time where everything is big. Okay.
You're sharing.
Now, these pictures are from a while ago, but you see, it's just a historical little town.
You're sharing the intro.
Just a historical little town. There you go. How about that? Wait. How about we remove that and we add that? Looks good right there. So there's E2. Little city. Look, there's a little choo-choo train that goes down the middle. This is the Museum of Electricity. I spent a week down here once, so they got the Museum of Electricity. There's that church that the guy was showing the video, and everything's kind of big. Why is everything big in the city? Oh, there's gay pinga. Don't drink that. There's the big old orelhão. Because prospectors, that wanted to come into Sao Paulo, the people that lived there would exaggerate everything. They'd be like, we have the best beans, coffee beans. We have the best land. We have the largest this. So everything got exaggerated to get these prospectors to come into Sao Paulo and kind of invest in this region. So that's why this city got this name of like a cidade onde tudo é grande, like the city where everything is big. And they have a little chocolate farm there. So, live or visit Itu? Good question, because I thought about living in Itu a few times, but there's really not that much to do. There's like that little city center, there's a shopping mall, there's this little place here, and then there's a lot of nature. And if you're into raves, there's a lot of raves, because there's a lot of farmland. But for a day trip, oh, there's me. It's worth it for a day trip. I definitely recommend going to E2. All right, Peter, let's
Yeah.
close up with where we did the South, we did the East, we did the North, and now our region, the West Side. A lot of good places on the West Side. And just before we go, let me just read you something here that somebody posted in the group. Our friend Jordan said he likes the area of Juquitiba, Itapecerica da Serra, which is about, that's still São Paulo though. So I'm not going to count that. Or is it though? Yeah, because I think there's an Itapecerica, which is inside São Paulo, and one that's outside. It's confusing. But in any case, about 30 minutes off of the west edge of São Paulo, going towards the interior. Just green area, green area. In Buguaçu, very green. Okay, a lot of rivers, lakes, and stuff like that. Let me see if I can show you a little bit of what these places look like. Because now, guys, when you start going west, we're talking actually just being like in the middle of the forest. Yeah, you start to get into like these foresty areas in Buguaçu. Okay, Itapecerica. Let me see here. Itapecerica da Serra. Whenever you see Serra, we're talking mountains. Yeah, so there's the little downtown area. But again, to live, I don't know if I would live here because it's just like being in the neighborhood of São Paulo, just like further away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see advantage to living in an area like this. There is a cute city here, though, called Embu das Artes. Have you ever been here, Pete, to Embu das Artes?
No.
Really? Check this out. Embu is huge, okay? And it's got areas that are really poor. It's got areas that are really rich, like these little McMansions down there. And the thing that most people go to in Embu is on the weekend they have a little bit. It's loading there on the screen. Man, oh man. So yeah, it's a pretty big region, but you can see it's mostly green area, no buildings. So this is if you really want to go out and live more of a rustic lifestyle. There's a beautiful park that they have there. On the other side, if you travel over to the other side, that's when you're gonna get the Embu das Artes Feira. Oh, it's right around there. Feira de Artesanados. It's the artisan fair. Check that out. weekends over in Imbu. Okay, I mean it's actually there almost every day, but on the weekend is where it's gonna pack. You're gonna get some live music. You're gonna be able to buy your beads, and there's a store here. Oh, this is hell. Oh man, guys, you want some real hot sauce? That's some real hot sauce right there. That will kill you. The Carolina Reaper. I've had it before. Um, yeah, I had to stop having it because I was getting ulcers from it. Yeah, I can buy wood stuff. Look at that. All this natural honey. Honey made by hand. Lots of craft stuff, and they have a place here that lets you try cachaça. They got a couple of them actually. And man, you'll be in these places all fucking day. They got this kind of pet adoption thing, but it looks kind of sketchy. I don't know if I trust the pet adoption center. But as far as everything else, man, look at that. It is a day trip and a half. It's definitely worth going to Embu das Artes. By the way, hello everybody that's been listening. We're kind of giving you a tour of São Paulo in region. Other cities near São Paulo, okay? We're talking the west side. Is going to be Cotia. I'm going to put this on the screen here so you can see what the heck I'm talking about. All right, here we go. We got Cotia, Granja. These cities here, guys, that you see, I'm not going to go into each one. They're tiny. You can see that they're mostly green areas, okay? And they're just outside of São Paulo City, maybe like 15 kilometers. Some are like 20 kilometers. I got a good friend of mine that lives around this area. Do I recommend it? No, because there's nothing to do. You're gonna live there if you just want to be like away from everybody. And like, look at that. You got the big highway. You get these shopping malls and just house, 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 house. The thing is, this is the highway that leads into Sao Paulo. It's got the worst traffic ever. Like, you do not want to live here unless, look at this. Kochi is elected as the best city to do industry business. So there's a lot of factories down there, a lot of stuff like that. But I don't recommend it. Even though I do like going there, like to run, just to relax. I could live there if, I didn't have to come in São Paulo every day. Otherwise, forget about it, y'all. Because you are going to be stuck in the worst traffic you've ever been stuck in your life. So I don't recommend it at all. Do you like this region around here?
I don't get out of Sao Paulo that often. I don't get out of the city that often. When I get out west, usually
Unless you fall only when you I'm sorry to cut
yeah,
you off. I was gonna say you don't get only when you fall asleep on the bus.
I
Then
fall
you get out
asleep
of.
on the bus. Yeah, that's basically when I wind up getting out of the city out west.
Yeah, you end up in this city here a lot, Carapicuíba, which guys don't
No,
live
no,
here.
no. That actually, I used to go there for work.
Oh, okay.
Carapicuíba, yeah, Carapicuíba. I used to work in a region just a little further north,
Yeah,
I guess.
Barueri. Yeah, I was gonna
Uh,
talk about that because that's yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, so I used to take the CPTM to Carapicuíba, which is kind of a cool little place. I used to shop at the markets there on my way back, and then I'd have to take a bus through Alphaville
Yep.
to this, like, out in the middle of nowhere where they just have all these company headquarters and nothing else except the food trucks that cater to them.
Yeah. So what Pete's talking about? Okay. So real quick, just to recap, we got going to the west. If you're going down the highway, I don't recommend any of those places. Unless you got a car and unless you really, really, really have a lot of patience. You can go a little bit further out. Actually, Craig, who's always on here, he lives in a city called, um, oh my God, Sorocaba, which is growing and growing and growing. A lot of people tend to really like Sorocaba. I've been there once or twice, but it was like in and out. So I got no review of it. But here's a few pictures of Sorocaba. People that live there tend to love it, though. They're really in love with Sorocaba to the point where they're like, stop telling people our secret. This is like the best little city. It's about an hour and a half from São Paulo. So I don't recommend, though, any of those places that are down the highway if you're thinking about in and out of São Paulo too much. Maybe if you come in once a month, twice a month to come see a show or something like that. Otherwise, man, it's kind of annoying. I saw somebody wrote a couple comments there. I'll look at that in a second. And then that's here. Like that's if you get down near Butantã, you go this way. That's when you're going to get to Cotia, Osasco, which we didn't talk about, which actually is by the train line there. These are all cities outside of São Paulo. Osasco is a little bit better, obviously, because it's by the train, but the area by the train is not the best area to live. Like the parts of Osasco that are nice are farther from the train station. So I don't know if it's that much, if it's worth it. And then what Pete was talking about is right there is the city Carapicuíba. And if you get off here, in fact, you got two options. Barueri, which is gorgeous. I've been to Barueri a few times. I'll show you down here. It's an expensive city. It's that region that's like Alphaville. Look at that. Woo.
Yeah, a lot of
so
gated.
This is if you want to live the high. Yeah. A lot of gated communities, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Barueri, one of the top cities to live in São Paulo or Brazil. I didn't see that. In Brazil. Let me see if they have any drone footage of Barueri that we can see real quick. So that region is gorgeous, guys, but it's expensive. But then again, it's not that far. It's like, look at that. Ooh. I always like it when I go to Barueri. But again, if you have a car, it's way nicer to deal with. But you can still get there by metro. It'll be all right. It's a mini city. That's much it. Like they're doing a drone footage of the city. There ain't much else on this, unless you start getting to like the little suburbs and stuff like that. But very green, very clean, and great place to get the hell away from, everybody, but still have access to the city. Let me see what people have. All those places are around an hour distance from São José. Pretty much. Wait. Hey there. I know you already mentioned the best medium-sized city around São Paulo is São José dos Campos by far. I agree. Azobrab. He says, let's put his comment up here. Let me get rid of this drone footage here because that's slowing down my internet. But just so you can see, Barueri, cute place, man. Definitely worth living in if you got the cash. It's not a cheap place to live. Like Pete was saying, they got a place there called Alphaville, which is a gated community like Stepford Wives looking place,
Yeah.
Alphaville. Hey there. I know you already mentioned the best medium size. Yeah, definitely São José. For tourism, it's worth visiting Guararema, which is where the Pope went. It's like a big Catholic place. Cunha, which I've heard of, but I forgot what's in Cunha. What's in Cunha, Azobrad? São Sebastião, that's a beach, right, if I'm not mistaken. In Sapucaí, I've heard of. So if you got any info on those cities, let us know. All those places are around an hour distance from São José. São Paulo water circuits are also worth visiting. Socorro, Lindóia, Serra Negra. We're going to talk about them. Guys, there's so many. Oh, my God. Pete, I think we got to do a part 2. Like little cities just worth going to, like São Roque with the wine. We were just talking about Cotia and stuff like that. If you go about 30 minutes past Cotia, you start to get to this wine country of São Roque, and it's not bad wine either. Real cute place. There's even like a medieval castle down there that you can visit. Gringo La Chapa, he came in just to be disagreeable. I'm joking with you. But he said, I wasn't a huge fan of São José dos Campos. Well, you're in the other place, Campinas. For me, those two cities I really enjoy, but they have very different vibes. But they're both cool. But if I had to choose, Justin, I think I'd go Campinas over São José. I'll be honest with you. Oh, as much as I like São José would be like feel married with kids version. Like I would love living there. Me, who's okay, I'm not totally, single here, but who's still kind of out and about, I think Campinas is a better option, out of the two. Um, but definitely cool places to live, a lot of cool places to live. And Justin's in there. Hey, from Biega. What the hell's that? Am I missing a joke there? Biega. Um, so yeah, guys, the West Side has got a lot of stuff to do. A lot of these tiny cities. I showed you Cotia, Taboão da Serra, which okay, it's like Taboão feels like a neighborhood of São Paulo. It's like that close to São Paulo. Actually, Pete, the same way you said when you first got here, you went to Jundiaí. I lived in Taboão da Serra for a little bit. And as you can see, it's a pretty simple little town, but I love it here. It's cute. There's horses sometimes that wake you up in the morning, but that's pretty much the city. But I can walk to Taboão da Serra, like I'm not close to it. It's just right outside São Paulo. Here's just before we wrap up, and some people mentioned it. There's some hockey with the there's a castle in São Hockey, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so you can visit this medieval castle. There's the wine tour that you can take in São Hockey. You can go down the vineyards and everything. You can sit there by the vineyards, have some wine by the lake. So a lot of Rota do Vinho they call it, the wine route. Am I showing this? Yeah, I am. Not mention if you mentioned Sorocaba yet. Yes, I just did at the very, very last minute. I had forgotten about Sorocaba, but a good friend of the show, Craig, lives there. He moved over to Sorocaba. So another great area to live in. Any others that you can think of off the top of your head, Pete? Because we're kind of wrapping up, people. We kind of gave you a round. I think long story short is that the interior of São Paulo, I say this so much, and I really do believe it. Interior, look at this, São Paulo, is some of the most beautiful areas in São Paulo. You get these colonial cities, you get these, what do you call it? You get these little villages. You get really, 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 really good food and a whole bunch of stuff. The people are really nice. Yeah, I was trying to find like a video here that just had like all of the little cities. I was trying to open this right here, but it wouldn't open. It was like blocking on me. Like 24 cities that you got to visit. That's in the Água de Lindóia people talked about because it's got this whole water park situation going on. Let me see. Let's just do this and then we're out of here. São Pedro, that looks beautiful. Amparo, Aparecida, that's where the Pope went, not the Guararema, sorry. Atibaia, that's where Lula had his famous, country home, or didn't have it, or whatever you want to believe there. Barra Bonita, that looks beautiful. Oh my God. Boituva, that's where people do all their ballooning. Okay, famous for its ballooning. Let's keep going. Let's finish out with this. Botucatu, I've heard of. But I don't know what exactly you do there. I think you can do a bit. There's cachoeiras. So it's like a natural place to go. So maybe not living there. Brotas. People go there a lot for nature, adventure tourism, they call it, right? Botucatu, Campos de Jordão, which I forgot to mention, which is like this area. It's like you're in Sweden all of a sudden. Although people say Monte Verde is a little bit nicer, not as expensive. But yeah, you hit Switzerland, not Sweden. Cunha, which our friend in the comments talked about. Very famous little city there with a lot of uh, waterfalls and things like that. Embu das Artes, which we'd mentioned here tonight, beautiful place. Ilha Solteira, ooh, that looks nice. It's a beach. Itarapina, that looks beautiful. Itu, which we talked about today. Olambra, which we didn't talk about, but people have visited. I've gotten good and bad reviews about Olambra. Some people say it's overrated, but they have a lot of flowers there. It's like going to Longwood Gardens. If anybody's from the U.S., Olympia with all the water parks, Paranapiacaba, which we talked about, Little England, Presidente Epitácio, never heard of, but looks like a beautiful beach there. Ribeirão Preto is a little bit further out. That's about 3 or 4 hours from São Paulo, but people really love this region. Santo Antonio de Pinhal, I've heard of. Don't know much of what goes on there. São Roque, that's with the wine. Serra Negra, which is that other option. Instead of going to São José dos Campos, go there. It's cheaper. I think it's there, or is it Monte Verde? And then Socorro, which someone just mentioned now. I guess it's just a very kind of nature area. All right, guys. Das ist alles, as they say in German. That's all for tonight. It's late. It's 11:30. Thank you, Pete, for hanging in with me, hearing me blab on for an hour and a half. But I really love this city, guys. I could go on for 5 hours talking about Sao Paulo. It took me a while to fall in love with it. Pete, let me ask you: was it at first sight with you, or with Sao Paulo, or did it take a while for you to get into the city?
Well, I would say it was like at first sight. It took me a long time to get into it because I was first of all living outside the city my first year, and then I moved here, and there was a lot of stress involved in that, finding work and everything. So I was kind of wrapped up in other things. But when you are actually able to get out and enjoy all that it has to offer, yes, of course, I love it.
I'm with you. I think I'm kind of like on that level. It took me. I liked it at first sight. Like I said, when I first went down Faria Lima, I was like, "Ooh," because I'd never been to Brazil. After I left, I knew it wasn't all jungle. I knew that much, but I didn't expect it to be so modern in certain ways and so cool and this and that and the third. But it's also was kind of frustrating and confusing and harsh and dirty and I'm like, it took me a while to get into it, but once you do, you're kind of like a Paulistano for life. I think that's what they call us, Paulistano,
Yes.
people from São Paulo, or Paulista. I think Paulista are people from São Paulo. Paulistano is somebody from São Paulo State. Anyway, folks, we're gonna go to bed, and we will be back next week. Hopefully, maybe, I don't know. We shall see. But I think we should be back next week. So, and I may have a guest from Salvador talking about his life in Salvador. He doesn't know yet, but I just thought about that this week. That I really like him to share his life story. So hopefully, we'll get an expat here next week from Salvador, Bahia. He's going to tell about his whole life. He's lived here for like 50, 60 years. He's been here for a while. All right. So, peace. Thank you, Justin, for hanging with us. Thank you, Jay, for coming in a little bit late. What's a good city to live in Sao Paulo for an expat? Man, you got to listen to the podcast. You will find out. We talked about a lot of them, guys. A lot. Until next time. But off the top of my head, Sorocaba, Campinas, outside São Paulo. Jundiaí, Pete, maybe Jundiaí. Maybe yeah. I mean, off the top of my head, like cities that are just outside of São Paulo. And then, of course, just São Paulo. Where's my outro music? Otherwise, I'll keep talking. Let me put it on. This is my thank you for listening to us voice, because, man, Phil can drone on for a while. Love you, though. And I love this city. Thank you guys for listening in, for supporting the channel. Please subscribe, which I should always say at the start. And I will talk to you. Pete will talk to you. We'll all talk to you next week. Have a good evening.
Cheers.
It's hump day. Bye.